Welcome, everybody, and football season is approaching. We are just less than a week away now from College Football 26 releasing. All the editions look absolutely fantastic. Had a great time with the game last year. It's just, to me, going to get better and better. And obviously, we have Madden coming out in another month, and that looks like it's actually had some improvements. I cannot wait to get into it. But today, I wanted to discuss the teams I am looking at for Dynasty for college football, and we're going to combine this as well and add in Madden. I will have a poll below, 2 polls below. Also, if you have any other teams you'd like to see or any of your opinions, just put them in the comments down below. I always like to add them up. So I just want to get right into it pretty much. And obviously, if you're new here, mainly Dynasty, mainly franchise. So I had a great dynasty last year to bring back college football with Arkansas last year. I'm more of a realistic type guy. It is tough for me sometimes to take small schools and think about them winning national championships. It's just the way it is. I mean, in real life, you're about to have the SEC and Big Ten probably just disband from everything anyway and do their own thing. But this year, I thought, let's go to that. Let's maybe get out of the conference. Hey, I have a couple teams here that are still in a big conference for sure. But maybe we'll start outside of that. I like the way recruiting is looking like. It's not going to be as easy. I think I'm going to put some caps on myself as well. I do not want to recruit 5-star, even 4-star guys in the first few years. I just don't think it's really a thing I want to do. I want to try to keep that as realistic as possible. And if it takes us, years and years and years to build this up, that is what I want. I think last year sometimes recruiting was a tad bit easy. And maybe by year 3 or 4, you had, an unbelievable team, which we did in Arkansas. So I might limit myself a little bit there. And based off these upgrades this year, I think that's a good possibility to happen. So let's just get into it. The teams that or the schools that I am thinking of right now. Now, these first two are actually from the same conference. The one is the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. So this Ragin' Cajuns team actually had a pretty good record last year, 10-4, went to the New Mexico Bowl, lost to TCU. Now the thing about that area, obviously, tons of guys are going to the SEC. You got LSU right there. But there's a good possibility that those 2 3-star guys that kind of fall off and are not there, we could have a real shot at it. So that would be an interesting thing. We could head into the SEC later on. So that is number one. The second Sun Belt team that we're looking at is going to be the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. Now, they were just in the College Baseball World Series where they did end up losing to LSU. But another interesting one. They started off this season looking good, kind of fell apart. This could be a move into the ACC if we think about that. So they got the the teal turf. The uniform's looking good. You got the great weather there around Myrtle Beach. So this is a real opportunity to build up this school, bring them to somewhere they've never been before. So that will be option number 2. As for option number 3, let's head up to the MAC and possibly take over the Central Michigan Chippewas. Obviously in that area, Ohio State, Michigan, big time recruits, a lot of football talent. In the MAC, could we take over the MAC? Possibly then move into the Big Ten. Last year, they were 4-8. They have always had some struggles for sure, but we could take them over, see where we could do with them. So that is option number 3. As for the final 2 options, we're going to stay up north, and actually, this is where we're going to stay in a big conference, the Big Ten. I have 2 options. One is going to be Northwestern. Now, they've had obviously some controversy the last few years, having to fire Pat Fitzgerald, the coach that was there for many, many years. 4-8 last year. You play in possibly the toughest conference in college football in the Big Ten. That's enough. Deal with Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon. I mean, you have to deal with a lot. And that leads us to the final option that we could go to in the Big Ten, and that is going to be the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, this Boilermakers team, 1-11 last year, absolutely abysmal. Like I said, probably playing you could say the toughest. I would say the Big Ten could be the toughest conference in college football. Obviously, the SEC, it's right there. They're like 1-1A pretty much. But 1-11, and you have to play in that conference, that's a little bit of a tough test, and that could be an interesting rebuild for sure. They are awful, have been awful. And it would be a major, major rebuild to get them near the top of the Big Ten. So those are the schools that I am thinking for college football 26. Like I said, poll's going to be down below. Comment down below. What do you think? So those are the schools right now that I'm thinking right for college football 26. And now I'm going to talk real quick and we're going to have some 4 teams for a possible Madden franchise, which I'm hoping is going to be a lot better this year. Madden last year, very disappointing. I just could only get 2 seasons in. Wasn't really into it. The franchise itself wasn't the greatest. The gameplay wasn't that great. But the changes they really made this year, I'm liking it. The quarterback DNA. Quarterbacks should play differently. They got to have different styles. Bringing in different coach DNA. I want to not play the same game over and over. I want to face off against, the Bills, have to worry about Josh Allen. You got to take on Baltimore, man. You got Lamar, you got Derrick Henry, Philadelphia, what can they do? All the other options out there, Jaden Daniels. I mean, how are you going to match up against certain guys like Cincinnati? If you play Cincinnati, how do you match up against the receivers? It's going to be a tough test, and I just feel like it just hasn't been that way. And I feel like sometimes ratings don't matter. Superstars aren't really there. And it's just not really what you see, every Sunday. And maybe this is the change. We'll see. Hopefully it's going to be. But these are going to be the 4 teams that right now I am looking for a Madden franchise. Number 1, we're going to stick in the AFC South. We got 2 teams in the South. And that first team is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, you could say this might be a popular pick with Travis Hunter, a dual threat player, but to me, it's more interesting because you have Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 pick years ago, and he just hasn't turned out to be anything. So really, at the quarterback position, do you have a rebuild there? Yeah, you have Travis Hunter. It's going to be fun to play with him, but really from there, you got to figure out something. This is kind of made a winnable division. Now, I know Houston's kind of taken over a little bit, but obviously, you got to do something, and I think Jacksonville would be an interesting choice, especially with the new weather in the rain. Oh man, it could be something else to play in those type of games. Now, we're going to stick in that division and we're going to go indoors to Indianapolis. And you kind of have the same thing with Indianapolis. Is Anthony Richardson the guy, or going to have to go somewhere else? They were 8-9 last year. They have a solid team, but that contract with Jonathan Taylor, you need receivers. You need more of an offense. Defense is inconsistent here or there. So Indianapolis could be a team that's kind of right in the middle, but is Richardson the guy, or do you already have to look somewhere else and look at another quarterback? So that would be option number 2. We're going to stick in the AFC for option number 3, and that is going to be the New England Patriots. Now, this is a franchise that might have found their quarterback in Drake May, and they might have their guy. The thing is, you play in a division that is dominated by the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, and not only that, you play in the AFC, which let alone is just owned by the Chiefs. Like I said, you have the Bills, Ravens, Bengals. You got so many teams in the AFC. It is ridiculous. It is going to be the toughest conference really to go through. It's going to be insane in the AFC. You never know. Usually it is the Chiefs, but that is option number 3, the New England Patriots. Now for option number 4, we're going to go to the NFC, and we're going to go probably the toughest division in the NFC, and that is going to be the Chicago Bears. Now the Bears, same as the Patriots, look like they have their quarterback. Caleb Williams absolutely looks fantastic. You add pieces around him, but you play in more than likely the toughest division in football. You got to deal with the Detroit Lions. You got to deal with the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. Every team right there. If the Lions don't have as many injuries as do last year, maybe they beat Philadelphia and they're in the Super Bowl. You never know. It is got to be the toughest division in football. So it is a big time test to try to bring the Bears to at least get to playoff contention or possibly win that division. But those are the 4 teams I'm thinking of. Madden, let me know down below. Poll is there, like I said, in the comments. I want to hear what you guys think. But that is going to do it for me today. You guys have a good one. Football season's right upon us. Leave that like, comment, subscribe if you're new. I will see you next one. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.